Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. I'm very excited to be here today with Karen Spell, one of our partner agents in the Charlotte area of North Carolina. I should mention that you may have been speaking with one of our other partner agents in the Charlotte area, but we wanted to invite you to this webinar so that you could really learn more about the active adult communities in Charlotte, get any questions answered, and really just get more familiar with the communities there. This webinar is going to last about 30 minutes. Karen has been a partner agent with 55places.com for 3 years, and we are really thrilled that she helps our website users find the right community and home for the next chapter of their lives. Karen, thank you so much for taking the time to be with all of us today. Can you start by telling everybody on the webinar a little bit about yourself, where you've lived and grew up and worked, and how long you've been a real estate agent in Charlotte?
Hi, sure. And welcome to Charlotte. So I was born and raised in Florida, specifically South Florida, mainly the Miami and Fort Lauderdale area. I attended the University of Miami Law School in Miami. The last 12 years before I moved to Charlotte, I lived in Orlando, the central part of the state. Everybody knows Orlando because that's where Disney is. And then I moved to Charlotte. So the reason I moved to Charlotte was I had visited during the fall, and of course the foliage was gorgeous, and drove up to Blowing Rock, and the weather was cool and crisp, unlike back home in Florida where it is always hot and humid. And I decided right then that I wanted to live where there were 4 seasons. So that's what got me to Charlotte. I've been a real estate agent in Charlotte for almost 5 years. And my real estate background as a real estate attorney for more than 30 years in Florida has stood me in very good stead and given me a very good background to help my buyers get the home that they want. The Charlotte area has proven not just weather-wise, which is why I moved here in the first place, but it's just big enough to have all the options of big city living. It's got an international airport. It's got all the cultural options, museum, theater, symphony. It's got a lot of medical facilities, whether it's specialists or hospitals, and you're only a half a day from anywhere. So when I was in South Florida, you were a half a day from being a half and more day out of Florida. Here, you are a half a day from Charleston, Hilton Head, the beaches, less than a half a day to the mountains, Asheville and Blowing Rock. All kinds of places. You can go up to Nashville, Williamsburg, so lots and lots of options that I did not have living down at the bottom of Florida. So that's what brought me to Florida. We have really good sports. I'm a big sports fan, so we have lots of colleges, and we have professional sports. We have basketball, football, hockey, and in 2021, we're very excited. We're going to have soccer, and of course, we're the NASCAR capital of the world too. Don't have baseball yet. That's my favorite, but I'm very hopeful it'll be here soon.
Very cool. I love that. I think that's a good explanation. We're going to get into more of the specifics just on, you had mentioned airport, but airports and hospitals and shoppings and groceries. So can you get people just familiar with the Charlotte area? You know, many people are going to be moving, from out of state, and they want to just get familiar with what services do you have in the area. Can you tell us a little bit about, from most of the active adult communities, how far is it to the airports? How many hospitals are in the area? And then maybe a little bit more about shopping malls and grocery stores?
Sure. So the airport is 30 minutes or less from almost all of the 55 and over communities in the area. Shopping, there's immediate shopping needs very close to the communities, like grocery stores and big box stores, things like that. For malls, you're never more than 20, 30 minutes away from a mall in any of the communities. There's hospitals spread throughout. So in Uptown Charlotte, there are 2 hospitals, and then in the northern part, there's at least 3 more. So many options for medical facilities and hospitals and specialists are in your immediate area. You're not too far from anything.
You also have a lot of great restaurants, and tell us about the grocery stores. I know that you even have a Birkdale as well, but tell us about some of the shopping experiences that people have as well as grocery stores.
Sure. So grocery stores, they have Harris Teeter here, which I had never heard of. We do have Publix. Being a Florida girl, Publix is near and dear to me, and they're all over up here. We have Aldi's, which is also a very popular grocery chain, and we have Whole Foods and Fresh Market. All of these are spread throughout. I know a lot of people like Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's is actually in Uptown Charlotte, so it's a little further from the Lake Norman people, but we're all, rallying behind it and trying to get one up here too. So they're not too far from Trader Joe's, no matter where you are. I know that's kind of a cult favorite among grocery stores.
No doubt about it. And we're going to be talking specifically about Trilogy Lake Norman as well as Bailey's Glen for this webinar. And I should mention that we're also going to do a second webinar on more of the communities in like the South Charlotte and even into South Carolina in June. There's just so many communities that we couldn't do one on everything. And Karen's got some additional expertise over many of our agents in that she actually lives in one of the communities. Can you tell them about the community you live in and why you chose that community, maybe a few things you like about it most?
Yes, so I live in Bailey's Glen. I am in the Lake Norman region of Charlotte, which is about 15 miles north of Charlotte. And Bailey's Glen, to me, it has the best curb appeal. All the homes are very charming and they're all different and they just have their own personality. It's a very cozy feeling community, but we still have all of the amenities. We've got the clubhouse. We have a brand new 7,500 square foot woodworking pottery studio that's about to open any minute. We're all very excited about that. We have all the sports venues. We have bocce, pickleball's a fan favorite. We have 5 pickleball courts. And of course, there's horseshoes, shuffleboard, anything you could think of. We have a lifestyle director here, which is key in a lot of communities to making sure things are going and active all the time. So we have that here in Bailey's Glen. And we're also located right next to the historical town of Davidson. Davidson is home of Davidson College, one of the top liberal arts colleges in the country. And although they're not known for their sports, they are the home of Stephen Curry. So that's their claim of fame for sports. But they have lots of boutiques and dining options. If you like food, Charlotte's a great place. All kinds of restaurants for food. And I just like the location of Bailey's Glen a lot. It's really nice.
When you purchased in Bailey's Glen, did you consider Trilogy Lake Norman? Was that an option? Was that on your radar at all?
I did. Trilogy is only about 25 minutes from Bailey's Glen. It wasn't open yet. I took a bus tour of the dirt with nothing on it, and they told us where the clubhouse was going to be and where some of the amenities were going to be. And I liked it. It's on the quieter side of the lake, which some people really like. But there wasn't anything there yet, and I was kind of ready to move, so I came to Bailey's Glen.
That makes perfect sense. So we're speaking specifically about the northern section of Charlotte and the Lake Norman area. For people that aren't familiar with Lake Norman, can you just tell us a little bit about Lake Norman, why it's such a big deal, why it's such a big draw for people?
Yes, so Lake Norman is an actual lake that was formed by Duke Energy damming up the Catawba River. It's actually the largest man-made lake in the country. It covers parts of 3 different counties, and it's got 520 miles of shoreline, and you can do every water activity there is. So anything from boating, fishing, skiing, swimming, paddleboarding, kayaking, you name it, you can do it on the lake, and everyone does. It kind of defines the economy of the whole area, and it's an absolutely gorgeous lake.
I love hearing that. Awesome. Tell us, you work with hundreds of people that are using 55 places and thinking about moving to the Charlotte area. Can you tell us, if you had to just say a percentage, what percentage of people are local to Charlotte versus people that are coming from out of state, and then local people as well as out of state? Why are they typically wanting to move to the active adult communities in Charlotte?
Sure. So most of the people coming here are from elsewhere, probably about 85%. Typically, the reasons you're moving here is you have family here, or the weather, 4 mild seasons, never too hot or too cold for too long, which that's what brought me here. And the other 15% are here because they know how great it is already, and they just want to stay here. But it's really nice that such a high percentage is from somewhere else, because if you're from somewhere else, everyone's looking to reach out to make new friends in their new community with people that are like-minded, same or similar stage of their lives. And it really makes for a really good situation for getting connected quickly in these communities. It's probably the #1 thing I hear from people about why they like 55 plus living is all the new friends and that they make and all the activities that they can enjoy with them in the communities.
That makes perfect sense. And you had mentioned a lot of people are moving from out of state, 85%, and the majority, where would you say they're typically coming from?
The Northeast. So when I say that, and not necessarily the Northeast, so Michigan, Connecticut, New York, and one of the really great things about clients from there is that they absolutely love our taxes, our real property taxes. They're typically here between 65 and 75% lower than they are up north. So believe me, that's a big selling point for people that are typically at this stage in their lives on a fixed income. And that's a really attractive feature for our area.
Makes perfect sense. They want better weather. They still want the 4 seasons. They want lower taxes, lower cost of living, things like that. Do you get halfbacks? Do you get people like you from Florida that don't necessarily want to go back to the Northeast where they came from or the Midwest, but they want to be somewhere in the middle with better weather?
Oh, sure. So the term halfback came about from people that have lived up north forever and are tired to death of all the snow and the cold weather. And of course, everyone hears how warm Florida is, so they move to Florida. Well, what they don't realize in a lot of cases is just how hot and humid Florida is. And once they do, they say, okay, this is warm, there's no snow, but this is too much. And they move halfway up, which is Florida, or excuse me, North Carolina. And then you get a little bit of both. You get all the mild seasons, you get a little bit of winter, you get the 4 seasons, you don't get all the snow. We typically have about 5 to 6 inches of snow a year here, and that's over 1 or 2 days. If we get more than 4 inches in a day, it's a big deal, and it never lasts more than 2 or 3 days.
Oh my gosh, so great, and I'm so jealous coming from Chicago, so I can definitely understand.
Come on down, I'll find you a house.
What I'm going to do now, Karen, is I'm going to share my screen with you and everybody on the webinar, and I'm going to show the amenities that are in Trilogy, and hopefully you can just talk us through some of these amenities. And then that way we can just get familiar, with everybody on the webinar with what this community has to offer. So this is Trilogy Lake Norman. This is obviously the outside, monumentation sign, but if you can just walk us through some of these amenities.
Okay, so yes, the first shot was of the entrance, which is gated. It's one of the few that are gated in the area. This is the resort style pool. It has the 0 entry. In the background, we have the 4 pickleball courts on the right. And on the left are the tennis courts. To your immediate right of the black building, that is the indoor heated pool. So that door that you see there is like a garage door. So when the weather is nice, it goes up and you actually can go walk right in there. And then of course, when it's cold, it's down because it's heated. It's heated in there.
And then is this a hot tub over here?
Yes. Yes, sorry about that. Yep, that's the hot tub, and it's open all year. So even when it's cold, you could be out there in the hot tub, or you can be indoor in the indoor heated pool.
Awesome.
So this is the entry to the clubhouse. They call this the gathering area. You can meet here with friends and socialize and get together and have, just sit down and have a drink. What you don't see on the left side are more of those garage door type things, and they also open out to the exits. We take advantage of our really good weather here by opening up all the doors and opening up the clubhouse. You're looking at the restaurant. So this is one of the few communities that has an on-site restaurant and a bar, and the food is really good, really good. This is the culinary kitchen. They do cooking shows here. It's kind of neat. There's a lot of trilogies throughout the country, and they'll do a cooking show, say in Arizona, and you're doing the same cooking demonstration here in the Charlotte area, but you have interaction capabilities with the chef in Arizona while you're cooking in the Carolinas. So nice. That's a really popular feature. This is the ballroom. You can actually split this in half, so you can have 2 rooms. They do all kinds of events in here, parties. They have a dance floor that they could put on the floor, down on the floor, and they'll have concerts with dancing, or they'll have line dancing, square dancing classes. They also have a portable stage that they can put up there. They'll have concerts inside during the winter months when it's cooler, although they do have an outside amphitheater on the green for outdoor concerts as well.
Nice, and this is where they do New Year's Eve parties and Super Bowl parties and parties for just about every holiday, right?
Any excuse for a party, yep. So this is the gym. It's state of the art. they do have a fitness instructor. So if you don't know how to use a machine or you want to know what it does for you, they will help you with that. They also have a little key fob. So you come in and you plug your key fob in. And when you use the machines, it tells you from one time to the next your progress. So if you were able to do, 10 reps on a machine last time and now you did 12, it demonstrates for you your progress. And you just take that with you and plug it in each time you come in and keep track of your own progress.
Really nice.
So they call this the crow's nest. It's also the billiards studio. And in the back there is a a poker table. Poker's very active. And they have all kinds of events in here, Super Bowl parties, all kinds of things. If there's a big sports game on, it's going to be on that TV, and there's going to be a crowd in here enjoying it.
Nice.
This, of course, is the indoor heated pool. There's only a handful of communities in the area that have one, and they are a really nice feature because they do allow you to use that pool through the whole year. And one of my favorites in the pool is water aerobics. Very easy on the joints, but you still get a workout and you still feel like you did something, you burned some calories.
I love that, and I can see that they have the garage door open in this picture here.
Yeah, it's open right now. Mm-hmm. So these are the locker rooms that are right off of the pool area. So you could leave your things in there, your clothes. You could shower before or after or both. Whatever you want to do. So these are the locker rooms. They have men's and women's. So this is the outdoor area. So here you can rent a kayak, and that kayak that you see right there standing up, it's inflatable. So it actually, when it's uninflated, is about the size of a suitcase, and you can put it in the back seat of your car and take it over to one of the nearby parks that is right on Lake Norman and go off kayaking. The bicycles are about $10 a day, and the topography in Trilogy is very pretty. It's very hilly, so it's a little hard to get up and down the hills, but they do have an electric boost, which is a really nice feature at the end of that ride when your legs are tired.
It's so nice.
It's called the Outfitter. That's also the cafe. So when the restaurant isn't open, you can still go in there and get a coffee or a pastry or a smoothie.
Nice.
This is the tennis court, and you can tell the tennis court from a pickleball court because tennis courts have alleys on the side, and a pickleball court is about 2/3 the size of the tennis court. It doesn't have those alleys down the side. Pickleball, no alleys. So it's a little bit smaller. The rules are a little bit simpler and slows the ball down a little bit from tennis. So it's called senior for tennis, but don't mistake, it can be very competitive. This is where are we? Oh, this is inside one of the models.
Yeah.
So they all have open floor plans. They all have the island kitchens that we all want these days. They have different collections of models, and they're beautiful. They all have outdoor covered space because, again, we want to emphasize and utilize that outdoor space since the weather is so mild so many days of the year. And this is just an example of some of the rooms. Walking trails. Trilogy is known for its walking trails. They have miles and miles of walking trails, many of them through the woods like this one. They actually have an adult tree house, so it's not in the tree. It's just built among the trees, and it's actually a picnic area where you can go and bring your lunch. The walking trails are either mulch, gravel, and they also have sidewalks on one side of the street throughout the community. And you can bicycle in them, you can take your dogs, or you can just walk with friends. Very popular.
Very nice. We've got a few questions that came in that I want to make sure to ask you right now. So we kind of talked about the area. Now we're talking about Trilogy in particular, the community and amenities. I'm going to show you a list of the clubs and classes, and Karen's going to walk us through that. And then we'll even show you some of the homes that are listed for sale. Somebody has a question here. Lisa wanted to know, are there any 55 plus communities closer to Uptown?
Closer to Uptown? Yes, there are. There's a few, mostly they would typically be the ones that are a little bit south of Uptown, but there are several. I usually go by drive time. So instead of saying it's 10 miles, I'll say it's 15 minutes because, it can be, depending on traffic and everything else, highways. So I go by drive time. So there's probably, if you wanted to be in Center City, within 20 minutes, you would have 2 or 3 choices of 55 and better communities.
Okay, that's perfect. And then Thanga, she was mentioning the Lake Norman area. That's what we were talking about with all the outdoor activities and everything on the lake. What we're going to speak about now is, and several more questions coming in, that's perfect. This is the lifestyle. Karen, can you just walk us through for Trilogy and just talk us through some of the different clubs and classes and activities? And for everybody that's on the webinar, below the photos of the amenities, we have different tabs here that separate information. We'll show you in just a second all the homes that are currently listed for sale. This is any resale homes, as well as new construction homes from the builder. This is a list of all the amenities that we just kind of talked through, the clubhouse and the gathering rooms. And now Karen's going to talk about the different clubs and classes and activities that go on within Trilogy.
Yes, but let me mention before I forget, because it's a really, really nice perk at Trilogy, is part of your HOA dues is membership in the Freedom Boat Club. And what this does is it allows you to go onto the website, reserve a boat. They have all kinds. They have the pontoon boats, also known as party boats, fishing boats, jet skis, any kind of boat. So you reserve the boat online. You show up at the dock on Lake Norman, take your boat out for the allotted time, and the only thing you pay in addition is the gas. One really popular thing for people to do is get together a couple, 2 or 3 couples, and take the boat out and have lunch at one of the restaurants on the lake. And then you all come in, back, dock the boat, and all you pay for is the gas. And split 3 ways, it's very minimal. Really popular thing to do at Trilogy. And also, once you're part of the Freedom Boat Club, there's 200 boat clubs throughout the country, and you can actually use any of them. So if your children are in another place in the country and they have a Freedom Boat Club, you can go there and use it there and take your grandchildren, your children, your family, friends, whoever, out on the boat with you. So it's a really nice feature.
It's so nice because we hear so many people that are wanting to move from New York and New Jersey and Connecticut because they want to be able to be outside more than 6 months a year, like me in Chicago. And they're oftentimes outdoors people that want to be on the lakes. They want to be active in hiking and fishing and kayaking. So, I mean, this is incredible for so many people. Walk us through within Trilogy itself, separate from Lake Norman and the Freedom Boat Club.
Mm-hmm.
Can you walk us through some of the different clubs and classes and activities and what types of things are most popular from your experience?
If you can imagine it, they'll do it. So their activities director used to work at Disney. So he knows how to get things going and keep things active. They have everything. You can see the list here. And I like to mention, I'm asked, are there things for men to do? Because a lot of the activities seem to be geared towards women. There's a lot of opportunities for men. So of course, men and women can mix and do most anything, any of the games or the clubs. But there's like car clubs. In one of the communities, there's the Romeos, which is retired old men eating out. They get together every week for breakfast and discuss anything and everything. There's travel groups. In Trilogy, the travel groups travel internationally with people from other trilogies. So you get to meet other peoples in 55 and over communities, other places in the country. That's a very popular one. That they also plan day trips. So I mentioned the location of Charlotte. They'll have day trips to the wineries, to the casino. Yep, casino close by. All kinds of trips that are very popular, day trips for people, and maybe even a couple of overnight trips. But if you can think of it, there's Bible study, there's every kind of game and card game you can imagine. If you're a musician, table tennis, pretty much if you can think it up, they can do it. Another really popular one is the dinner club. So you get together with different people. It's a good way to meet some of your residents, your fellow residents, and you go out and visit some of the area restaurants and have a meal. So if you want to be busy every minute of the day, you can. And don't let me forget the fitness classes. There are a lot of fitness classes. These are also very popular. I like to emphasize the active adult community. We're trying to maintain our health here as best we can, and we're given many, many opportunities from yoga to Pilates, Zumba, stretch, sculpting, and they're all age appropriate for our age. The instructor knows, our limitations, and if you have a particular limitation, they'll address that in class and tell you, don't do this that everyone else is doing, do it this way. So it's really age appropriate, and they're very, very popular.
Really, really nice. I mean, you're getting, I think, all of us excited just about all the things that go on within these communities. We got a few more questions that I want to make sure to ask for you. Lynn's asking a specific question about the average age of people who live in 55 and over communities, and I will answer this one for Karen. Because we're all licensed real estate agents, we can't actually disclose the specific age of residents within a specific community. I will tell you though, oftentimes newer construction communities that are still building new, because of HOPA, the Housing for Older Persons Act, oftentimes the builders can sell, as long as for new construction, they can sell a home. If somebody was 50 years of age and their spouse was 45, they have an 80-20 rule. So as long as 80% of the residents are over the age of 55, for new construction, they can sell as long as one person is 50 years of age. If somebody's going to buy a resale home or within the community, they would have to be 55 or over. So because of that, oftentimes newer construction communities that are still building tend to be a little bit younger, but we can't as real estate agents disclose the actual age within these communities. Dorothy wants to know, at Trilogy, how many houses are built and how many are planned in total?
All right, so when it's finished, there's going to be approximately 1,200. And between the ones that are already built or under construction, they're about 60% built out. So they've still got about 40% left to go.
Okay. Michael wants to know a little bit more about the HOA, which I guess is the perfect time to go into it. He wants to know about the HOA and is it maintained? I know that the majority of the communities are maintained, but with Trilogy, can you explain how it's a little bit more unique?
Yes, Trilogy is a little unique. So one of the hallmarks of 55 plus living is the lawn maintenance is typically included in the HOA dues. And it is at Trilogy as well, except that they do not maintain the backyard. Most communities maintain all four sides. Trilogy does not. I will say, however, most of the people contract with the landscaper that's already taking care of the other three sides of the yard for a very small fee to also maintain the backyard. But you also have the use of all the amenities. There is a small charge. It's $340 annually per household. So if there's two of you in the household, it's one $340 fee for unlimited fitness classes. And if you don't want to have any fitness classes, then you don't pay the fee. And if you want to go to one class, you can also pay for them kind of a la carte. Maybe you want to see if you're going to like the class. You can do that before you pay that fee as well.
Yeah, great question, Stephen. And we're going to go into the specifics of Trilogy versus Bailey's Glen. How much is it for single family homes versus potentially different product series in Bailey's Glen? So we'll definitely answer that, as well as property taxes. Lisa wants to know, are all the clubs the same at all communities?
No, they're all different. A lot of them have similar features. They vary by size. The size of the community often dictates the size of the clubhouse. And some have different features. So if you're looking for a specific feature, say a culinary kitchen or an on-site restaurant, that's where your 55 plus expert can really help you narrow it down. You don't have to do the research on, like in our area, we have 64 communities. So rather than have to go through 64 communities, I could just tell you off the top of my head which ones had the restaurant.
Great question, Lisa. And to your point, Karen, this lifestyles tab on each one of the community pages. So if you're looking at Trilogy, if you're looking at Bailey's Glen, if you're looking at Sun City Carolina Lakes, these tabs will really show you all the information at once. You'll be able to see all the homes that are listed for sale to get a realistic idea of the price range. You can see information on the amenities. You can see all the different clubs and classes that are available within the community. Lisa also wants to know about pets. Can you talk about the pet policy for Trilogy and Bailey's Glen, as well as our grandchildren and guests welcome?
Yes, to both. So the pet policy typically across the board is 2 pets, whether it's 2 cats, 2 dogs, no wildlife. In Trilogy, they allow up to 4. So if you are a multi-pet person, you might want to consider Trilogy. They do have a dog park. It's separated into sizes. So they have the small dog park and the larger dog park, but they are very pet friendly in all of the 55 and over communities. Grandchildren are always welcome in the communities. Some communities do have certain hours that the children are allowed in the pool and the use of other amenities. And you do typically always have to be with the grandchildren when they're using the facilities. You can't send them up to the pool. But everyone, yes, a main reason that a lot of people move here is to be near their family and their grandchildren. And of course you want them to help enjoy those amenities with you. They love the pontoon boats too, especially the ones with the slides.
And can you talk about, is it no one under the age of 19 can live there permanently, but if somebody moved there and they have kids in college, they can come back for the summer, they can come back for the December holidays, is that right?
Yes, there's pretty much unlimited visitation. It's kind of unwritten. To live there in Trilogy, you do have to be 19. Now that is different by community. You'll have to look or have your expert look at the governing documents for that community. But the typical age to actually live with a resident is 19. It can be different, a little bit different community by community.
Yeah, thank you, Karen, for that. So now we're going to talk about homes for sale. These are great questions. Karen is the expert and she lives in a community, so she knows it very, very intimately. The other big thing that I would say is that this is just a great time to mention working with somebody like Karen. It is 100% free to you. It doesn't cost you anything extra. And specifically, if you're coming from 6, 7, 8, 10 states away, she is your liaison that's on the ground. She, from a new construction standpoint, she can actually go to appointments for you. She can go to the pre-construction orientation. She can go to the pre-drywall orientation. She can take pictures of your home while it's under construction, and she is the expert. She knows all the different pet policies for every single community, all the different HOAs. You don't want to work with somebody that sold a home one time in an active adult community. You want somebody that is an expert, and that's the agents that work with 55places.com. Oftentimes 70, 80, 90% of their business is in these active adult communities. They know the different phases of construction, which models are most popular, and they know if builders have specific incentives, discounts that they're not telling you about. So working with an agent, not only does it not cost anything, but it can actually save you money by working with somebody that's an expert that really knows the communities. And it's really their job to talk to you to figure out what's important, which location you want to be in, what amenities are important. Maybe pricing is the most important, and they can really find the right community for you. So now we'll talk about the homes for sale. I'm just going to sort this. So again, this is right below the photo of the amenities. You have all these different tabs that separate information. I clicked on the homes for sale tab, and it defaults to show you the newest properties first. I'm going to sort it price low to high so that people can get a realistic idea of the price range of homes that are available. And Karen, if you don't mind just walking us through different home styles, prices of homes, and then we'll get into HOA fees and pet policies and make sure to answer everybody's questions.
Sure. So typically the floor plans are ranch styles. There are a few of them that you can add a second story to. The prices vary from the high 200s in Trilogy to the high 600s, depending on what kind of options and upgrades that you put in your home. They start at around 1,400 square feet and go up to almost 3,000. There's pretty much something for everyone. And in Trilogy, some communities separate the smaller homes and the larger homes in different sections. They don't do that in Trilogy, which I really like. All homes of all types and sizes are spread all throughout the community. So there's no differentiation between small and large and those kind of things.
And the two-story homes that we're seeing, those still have the master bedroom on the first floor, but they have a loft and bedroom upstairs?
Yeah, typically what's upstairs is a bonus room, unfinished attic space, and possibly a bedroom and a bath, depending on what you wanted to add. But all the main living areas are always on the first floor.
What would you say is the most popular size range as far as bedrooms and bathrooms and maybe square footage, if you had to say?
Well, most people are looking to downsize. I call it right size. It sounds a little more positive. And typically they either want 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and some kind of flex space for a den or an office, or just a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And I would say 1,800 to 2,000 square feet is kind of the sweet spot for what people are looking for their new home.
Okay. Can you walk us through the HOA fees? How much are the monthly fees to be able to have access to the pools and fitness centers and common area, as well as for Trilogy in particular, grass cutting on the front and sides, and then the homeowner is responsible for either taking care of the back or contracting that out with the rest of the neighbors?
Sure. So in Trilogy, they're at $354 a month. This is a little bit higher than some of the area ones, but I will say that that is offset by the fact that Trilogy is located in Lincoln County. And on a $300,000 home, the taxes are about $1,000 less than they would be in Mecklenburg County, the next county over where a lot of the other 55 and overs are located. So that, together with membership in the Freedom Boat Club and the outstanding amenities that you get in Trilogy, $354 is a good deal.
And talk about that, since you mentioned it, a $300,000 home, property taxes would be what?
Okay, so in Lincoln County, they're going to be about $2,150 for a 3,000 square foot home. all my Northeast people are saying, did she really just say that? And yes, I did. And in Mecklenburg County, that same $300,000 house is going to be about $3,150. So again, significantly less than you're paying up north. So the county isn't really going to make the difference in where you want your new home.
Yep. So just to summarize, $300,000 home in Trilogy, you're paying about $2,100 in taxes. I'm in Chicago, $300,000 home here, closer to 9 or 10 grand. There's people on the webinar that are probably closer to 12, 15. If you're in Long Island, $20,000 a year. So we can all do the quick math and figure out, let's say it's 15,000, minus 2,000 in your area, it's 13,000, but that's 13,000 a year, right? Like in 10 years, 130,000. This math adds up really, really quickly here. Lynn wanted to know, are there size or breed restrictions for dogs, and can you have a fence?
Okay, most of the communities you can have a fence. There are a couple that you cannot. The other thing you want to ask if a fence is important to you is if you fence your yard, if they will still mow it. So in Trilogy, they don't mow the backyard anyway, so it doesn't matter. Yes, you can have a fence. They do specify the type of fence that'll be uniform throughout the community. In Bailey's Glen, you can have a fence and they will still include that as part of your maintenance. But you do need to ask community to community. Some don't allow fences. And if you do put one up, some won't take care of the backyard.
Okay. Dorothy wants to know if Trilogy has the garage loft for storage where you've got, finished steps that go upstairs.
So the unfinished attic storage in, yes. So the ones that you can put a loft on, you can have all or part of that as unfinished. So that wouldn't be heated or cooled. Or you can have a combination. You can have it partially finished, heated and cooled, and then the other part of it unfinished attic storage. But yes, that is an option there as well as at Bailey's Glen.
Perfect. I'm going to start to show Bailey's Glen just so people can see some of the amenities there. Stephen wanted to know, how long does it typically take to build a home once ground is broken?
Okay, it depends on the community. In Trilogy, it's going to be about 5 months, and they're pretty good about staying with their timeline. Some of the builders, it's a little more flexible, that timeline, but in Trilogy, it's about 5 months from signing the contract, as long as you pick a lot that's already been released, from ground up to moving in.
Okay. And let's see here. Lisa wanted to know, she's going to be in contact. Her husband is getting transferred, and she says, yay. So that's good news. Someone asked a little bit earlier, I think it was Stephen, if you can purchase a lot and build later, which I don't believe is possible in Charlotte. Is that right, Karen?
No, I get asked that question a lot. People that want to hold that lot until they're, in a little better time frame for building. No, typically once you put a lot under reservation, they want you to be under contract within about 7 days.
And that's pretty typical for most new construction 55 plus communities around the country. And the whole reason for that is they go right up and down the street. So once they're done with your street, there's no construction traffic, dirt, mess, noise, all that stuff. They just want to be done with that block instead of you moving into your house and still 2 or 3 years later having a house that's built. When a lot of people are asking that question, an option is to actually buy the house right now. And then if you want to rent it out until you're ready to move, whether it be in a year or 2 or 3. And in these communities, it's very challenging to find rentals because most people aren't purchasing them for investment properties. They're purchasing them as their primary or secondary residence. In these communities, I think the limit is typically you have to rent your house for 6 or 12 months. Is that correct?
That's pretty typical. Trilogy, I think you can do it as few as 4 months. I will say rentals are very popular because people have sold their home quicker than they thought they were going to, and they need to live somewhere while their home is being built. And this way they're already in the community and becoming part of the social scene and can use the amenities. So it's pretty easy to rent these homes in these 55 and better communities.
Sure. I'm going to keep going through just for the spirit of time. I want to get everybody's questions answered. I'm just going to flip through the amenities in Bailey's Glen so people can see that. Michael wants to know, he's in South Florida with pretty high homeowners insurance. Can you comment on the homeowner insurance prices in Charlotte?
Yes. So I also was in South Florida. So I understand you've got to have that hurricane coverage, and then you've got that 2% wind deductible. Here, we're far enough inland that we're not concerned with hurricanes, and we don't have flood insurance either, which is also something that most of Florida has. And I would say that the insurance here, so on a 2,000 square foot home, it's going to be roughly $700 a year.
Very affordable. Okay. And again, if you have, I'm going to show just some of the homes for sale. Karen's going to walk us through some of the amenities. I'm going to show you, again, you'll be able to see, I think it was Lynn that was asking about the different clubs and classes and activities. There's even more activities in Bailey's Glen that we're actually adding to our website very likely later today or tomorrow. This is a list of all the amenities. And then can you talk us through the home prices that are in Bailey's Glen? Obviously, a lot lower inventory within this community right now with only 4 homes for sale. But can you talk through the realistic price range of homes?
Yes, so they start on the low end at around 350, so mid 300s, and they go on up to the high 600s. The smaller models, which are the 350 to about the 425 range, they are resales only. They're not building the smaller models anymore. They're only building the larger models. But you can build the larger models in the newest section of Bailey's Glen. The HOA dues in Bailey's Glen are $292 and 82 cents. I'm not real sure how they came up with that, but they do take care of all 4 sides of the property, whether or not you fence it. And of course, it does include use of all the amenities. The only thing extra is, if you attend an event that has food, you'll pay a charge for the food. It's optional, you don't have to attend. And the fitness passes are, so in the winter months, they're called land passes, and they're $22 a month, unlimited classes. And in the summer, when we can also have aerobics classes, very popular, they're about $30, and it's unlimited land and sea. So the pool being the sea.
Very nice. Can you give us just a range of prices? We spoke specifically about Trilogy as well as Bailey's Glen. Can you speak just a range of prices for active adult communities in general, kind of on the low end and the high end?
Well, they're all over the place. You're going to be hard put to find something lower than the low 200s. And of course, those communities are the ones that don't have the premier amenities. You're not going to find an indoor heated pool. You're not going to find pickleball courts. They'll typically have a clubhouse. They may or may not have any pool. They're not going to have a lifestyle director who's kind of making sure all those activities and social events are being coordinated centrally. But there are options. If you're in the low 200s, there are options for you to find a home in a 55 and over community. You still get the feel of the 55 community. You still get the social aspect of everyone's in the same phase of their lives. You just don't have all the premier amenities and the flash that go with the bigger communities.
Sure, that makes perfect sense. And I put this up on the screen so you can see if here's a phone number, here's an email address where you can email. I mentioned I'll be doing one more webinar on the communities more like south of 85 in the Charlotte area. So more like Treetops and Sun City Carolina Lakes and Carolina Orchards and things like that. Stephen wanted to know a little bit more, they're still not sure if they want a 55 plus community or just an age targeted, non-age restricted community. He's trying to decide, we're not going to do a webinar specifically on just non-age restrictive communities, but any questions you have like that, to Karen, it doesn't matter whether you move to an active adult community or an age targeted or just a ranch home in an all ages neighborhood. Her goal, just like all our real estate agents, is to find the right community and the right home for you. So we won't have a webinar specifically on non-age restricted communities. We'll do one more specifically on the most popular communities. In North Charlotte, it happens to be Trilogy and Bailey's Glen. In South Charlotte, it happens to be Sun City Carolina Lakes, Treetops, Carolina Orchards, and Crestwind. So we'll be talking about those on the next webinar in June. But if anybody has any other questions, please make sure you've got probably another minute or so before we're going to close this down. We want to make sure to get all of your questions answered, so please feel free to do so. Thunga wants to know, my sister lives in Clover, South Carolina. Karen, can you please email me the names of all the 55 plus communities near Clover? And since you're mentioning this, I'm just going to show you right now, one of the best things to do, and I'll just kind of show you how to navigate our website. If you start from the home screen right here, and then you click on North Carolina right here, and then you click on the Charlotte area. Once this comes up, we kind of group all the communities into specific areas. If you click right here onto the Charlotte area, this will show you all the active adult communities in the Charlotte area. And that way you can kind of zoom in and you can see the different areas. So I had mentioned several of these, the border from North and South Carolina really kind of, you can see this dotted line crosses over, and several of these communities here in the Charlotte area are in South Carolina. So you can see the different communities. So you can kind of zoom in and play around with this. When you hover over a community, it will tell you, the name of the community, the price range of homes are available, how many homes total, and then the city that it's in. So you can kind of zoom in and out. You can also, just recently, I'll show you this right now, we started our advanced search. So if you want to click on the advanced search right here, and you could say, the different states that you're interested in, you can narrow it down based on whether it's age restricted, or Stephen, this might be for you. You can look at non-age restricted communities. You can say, I'm only interested in single family homes or condos, the maximum you want to spend, and then things that are really important to you. In a lot of these communities, indoor pool is really hard to find in some of these communities because it's so expensive. So if that was really, a deal breaker for you, you could check this and then you can narrow it down. So please feel free to use as many of these features. Again, this was the advanced search feature that I was showing you. You can zoom into specific areas, you can see price ranges, and then you can compare. This is meant to really be a one-stop shop where you can compare new resale communities, age restricted, age targeted. And again, that's why really having an expert like Karen who knows these communities inside and out and knows HOA fees and pet policies and what models are most popular is really just invaluable. So again, any questions you have for Karen, feel free to call or email right here. We want to get all of your questions answered, and we're really passionate about helping people find the right community and the right home for the next chapter of their lives. We say the right home in the wrong community is still the wrong home, right? You really want to start first by finding the right community, whether it's location or amenities that are really of interest to you. And then from there, we can find the right home and floor plan and price point that work for you. Karen, you are an expert. You are a wonderful person. You are a phenomenal real estate agent. And I so appreciate you helping our clients make really one of the most important decisions of their life, oftentimes after not having moved for 15, 20, 25 plus years. So thank you for your time. Thanks for your experience. I think a lot of people can relate, you moving from a climate that you didn't necessarily love, even though it's Florida, to somewhere where you can still get the 4 seasons. You can get ridiculously low property taxes compared to most of us in the Northeast and Midwest who kind of don't even believe it. But I appreciate you. So thank you everybody for your time today, and especially you, Karen. Thank you for being a wonderful person, a great real estate agent, and helping our clients really make a super important decision. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I love helping them.
Well, thank you so much. I hope everybody has a great week. Thank you.